Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to the Kehillat Shari Torah Halacha Review for Friday morning, October 23rd. We're talking about making brachas, making blessings before we eat. So it says in our sefer here, halachically speaking, that you should not allow an interruption to occur, any kind of interruption, as we'll see, between making the blessing, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, shehakol niyeh b'dvaro, borei peri hagafen, whatever bracha you happen to be making, until you actually taste the food. Here's how he explains it. One who makes a blessing, a bracha, should not make a hefsek. He says, be mafsik. You shouldn't make an interruption between the bracha and the eating. One should not even answer to Kaddish or to Baruch or anything else after the bracha was recited. So you have to be a little bit aware of your surroundings. And if someone else is making Kiddush nearby and you're going to have to say Amen, so wait 2 or 3 seconds so you can say Amen and then make your bracha and eat. Ideally, one should not interrupt between making the blessing and eating the food, even for the sake of the food. So let's say you make hamotzi lechem min haaretz, then you figure out, imagine such a thing, the person who set the table forgot to put the challah knife on the table, so you make with a hand motion like this, and you go, where's the challah knife? Okay, so that's letzorech. That's for the need of the bracha that you're making and the food you're about to eat. So unless you have, of course, the custom of tearing food, which is tearing the challah, which is perfectly acceptable in some circles. So that kind of an interruption is permitted because it's for the need of the food you're about to eat. Ideally, if you can avoid even making that kind of an interruption, that's best practice. If you wind up having to make that kind of interruption for a need, for an obvious need, so then you still fulfill the idea of making a blessing and connecting it to the food. So he cautions, interesting, even not to interrupt with silence between the bracha and eating any longer than it would take someone to say Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, 2 seconds, 3/4 of a second, something like that. If you had to wait longer, b'diavad, after the fact, so the bracha is a good bracha. Someone who interrupted with something that is not a demonstrated need is obligated to make a new blessing. You can't, he says, in the name of Ben Ish Chai, Darkei Tshuva, Mishnah Brura, and others, you can't even gesture with a hand motion or make a hint to someone. In other words, don't take your mind off. From the time you say Borei Pri Hagafen, drink the wine. Don't do anything else. Don't suggest me. Don't point. Don't gesture. Don't pass. Take a sip of the wine and then go on and do whatever you have to do after that. You shouldn't speak until some of the food is swallowed. That's what he says. Okay, now, based on the idea that you shouldn't make any interruption between the bracha and eating, here are some halachot, here are some rules, laws, and guidelines that go along with that to make that very relevant. Now, you have packaged food, package of potato chips, a soda bottle, not a soda bottle, we'll talk about that in 1 second. You have a cookie at the Kiddush, let's say, that comes wrapped in cellophane wrap. So he says packaged food should be opened prior to making the bracha. So there's nothing between you and no action is needed to get the food into your mouth. A food that is too hot should be cooled off before you make a bracha. If you make a bracha on your soup or your cabbage rolls, and then you have to wait 3 or 4 minutes and foof them, so that's quite an interruption. So wait until the food is actually ready to eat at the right temperature before you make a bracha. If you know the food's going to need salt or other spices, you should add them before making the blessing. Smell milk. If you have a glass of milk or putting milk in your coffee, check to see that it's not curdled. Give it a sniff to make sure it's not spoiled, to make sure that it's fresh. Okay, a couple of more things along these lines, so we will take that up after Shabbos. Let me just remind everybody that earliest candle lighting time, earliest time you can welcome in the Shabbat this afternoon is 5:15, 5:14 to be exact. Actual candle lighting time this afternoon is 6:02, 2 minutes past 6. You'll see the clock is moving advancing quite early. Shabbos is getting earlier. After next Shabbos, not this Shabbos, but after next Shabbos, we're going to change the clock, so it's going to get a lot earlier than that. So 6:02 is the time to light candles this afternoon. Shabbat ends tomorrow evening at 7:03, so please join us for Zoom Havdalah at 7:13. The link is in your email. Have a wonderful Shabbos. We'll see some of you in Shul. We'll see others of you on Zoom Havdalah, and hopefully the rest, everybody will all see each other soon and in good health. Good Shabbos.